football. I mean, he's got the best owner in football backing him, so it's easy. If you want to win a Super Bowl in today's game, all you need is your owner to give you hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, just give you hundreds of millions of dollars. That's all you need to do.
And you make the Chiefs look pedestrian in the Super Bowl. Anyway, here's Roseman on a more subtle and nuanced part of his gig and the importance of getting deals done early.
When you talk about culture, and I think that's like a big picture word that a lot of people throw around, and it's hard to really define what that means, but I think from our perspective, when people understand that when they start here, that they have an opportunity to continue here and get rewarded here, it's incredibly important so that when you draft guys, you can show them examples. If you do the right thing on and off the field, we're going to make sure that we keep you here and maybe even have a chance to finish your career here. And I think that just from our perspective, and everyone's got to do things their own way. I'm not saying it's perfect. We make a lot of mistakes. But from our way, that's a core tenet of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to draft, develop, sign. And when you do that with players, your opportunity to set up continuity, your ability to really set up leaders for your football team going forward who can show young players the way and how we do things, I think that gives you a chance to be special.
Man, I'm glad we don't have to listen to him during press conferences because that is not a very impressive or entertaining voice.
I was going to say that.
He is doing a great job.
I never hear his voice.
I don't think that matters. Everything he said, I think the Cowboys are doing just fine at that. Their players know that eventually we're going to get rewarded while we have to wait. It's annoying. But Dak had the line of the week on it yesterday where he was like, I'm confident. I've been around here. I know how things go. Mike is going to get paid.
Yeah.
But there was definitely, I'd say, like, irritation in his voice when asked about it. I mean, I think they probably also were like, I
don't want to talk about this. Is what they're like.
Like, why are we showing up to training camp? And that's going to be obviously what everyone's going to ask about. When you have an off season for a reason, and it's to get the business side of it done there. Yeah. And the Cowboys like to just have that bleed into the season. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, sure, they're not the only team, right? I mean, we know what's going on in Cincinnati. Terry McLaurin's got this going on in Washington right now. San Francisco's battling with some stuff with Juwan Jennings at wide receiver and some others. So it's not like the Cowboys are alone in this, but it does seem like it's always the marquee players, whether it was you go back to Zeke, Amari Cooper, CD, Dak, Zach Martin holding out a couple of years ago.
T-Law,
like,
Des Bryant.
Could we maybe put the focus on football? And would it behoove you to get this thing done sooner? Or, I mean, it's not even a case of sooner, just before we get to training camp. Or maybe the first day of training camp instead of the day of the season opener.
Yeah, I guess, my issue would be, while the Bengals do it, they're trying to grind a guy down, right? And be like, no, we're not. The Steelers, they had T.J. Watt threatening a holdout. They get him at $108 million guaranteed instead of $125 to Myles Garrett, right? I feel like the Cowboys drag these things out and then they cave and still give the most. Like, that's
so
my
they
main
get nothing
problem
out of it.
with it is if you're going to drag these things out, there better be like a salary cap advantage. But I just think like either they're too busy or they're enjoying watching the media talk about it repetitively, and that's the explanation for why. If you're going to make players sweat this thing out like this and really grind them down and make them feel like, wow, what's going on here,
we're worthless,
then there should be a bigger contract win in it for you.
Do you feel like that they maybe as a front office are struggling with giving the player the money? And I mean, not paying them, but I mean, they got the money to give. They got the money more. They got more money than the Bengals. They got more money than the Steelers when it comes to being able
Welcome to the
be able to give bonuses,
cash flow and stuff.
Yeah, cash flow. But do you think the thing that bogs the Cowboys down is not believing that the player is really worth that contract?
Maybe trying to get everybody convinced.
Maybe.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And sorry, we'll check up.
No, you're good.
A Jared Sandler on you there.
No,
but I'm kind of in that mode of just thinking, like, I just wonder, and working in that organization for 14 years, I just wonder because we were so
this is ridiculous.
Hurry up and wait. Everything we did was hurry up and wait.
Yeah, I think that everything is the little people to them, whether it's a .com department or the players. They just they don't have a lot of urgency about taking care of anything because they're living like.
No, they don't have any urgency about taking care of anything. Well, hello, good people and Eagle fans. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Man, I am on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. And I don't have all my bells and whistles. In fact, I have one screen that normally is working over here that's not on my additional set here. So bear with me. It's not easy, but you've got to find a way to get stuff done even when things aren't perfect. Something that the Dallas Cowboys haven't figured out how to do. But let's say hello to all the lovely ladies in the place with the style and grace. I don't even have my box. Do I have any sound effects? Oh, I got that one. For Aisha Robinson. How you doing, Aisha? And Lady Libra, who's our winner chicken dinner, thanks to my name is Jeff, who passed on his winnings to Lady Libra. And Miss Tracy is working on a design for that. When we get back from vacation, we'll get you squared away. There's Dirty Sanchez, there's Philly D, there's my man Chris May. What's going on? Who am I missing here from the lovely ladies? We've got Roland's Review. What's up, Roland? How are you doing? Aisha Robinson. I got Holly Pierce. What's up, Holly? How are you doing tonight? Lamar Davis, of course, in here hating. Mark, I know this ain't your basement. Okay. All right. Lovely Linda. What's going on? Joe DeMasi in the house. And Alan Williams. What's going on, Alan Williams? How are you doing? Let's see. All right. Shout out to everybody that's in the house and everything else. We appreciate each and every one of you guys being here. As always, we're sitting here with drama for the Dallas Cowboys. As 105.3 The Fan put it, the Cowboys aren't the only one that's dealing with a contract holdout. And unlike all the contract holdouts that are going on, at least Micah Parsons is in the building. He is holding in. He's doing some of the individual workouts. He's just not doing the team stuff. And with the team getting the pads on Sunday, unless he gets a deal, he won't be hitting anybody. And I think it's a disgrace, but this is the way the Cowboys do business. If you think back to Jason Garrett, his last year of being here, they couldn't even fire him the right way. They literally had him come to work every single day, even when Mike McCarthy was in the building interviewing. My wife even said, that's foul. Yeah. I mean, that's just wrong. But here it is, the same thing with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, they're sitting there negotiating a contract with Mike McCarthy thinking he's coming back, while all of the hot coordinators are all getting hired by everybody else. I don't understand why the Dallas Cowboys wait to go ahead and make deals if they think that, we're them boys and the deals are just going to make themselves, or, we're just that good that everybody just wants to be part of us. Retro Games, Jerry forgot to show them the money. Yeah, he did not show them the money. Appreciate you. Chris May, who's in the number 2 spot, trying to wrestle away from Jeff Lee. My name is Jeff. Game Time Brian. What's up, Game Time? How are you doing tonight? And Jimbo Curtis is in the house. Derek Gimsley's in the house. Shout out to everybody. Mark didn't shout me out. What's up with that? I did shout you out, Jeff Lee. I said you were in the lead. My name is Jeff. And Marcus Blackman, what's going on? All right, so I don't know why it is the Cowboys do this, and maybe it all goes back to marketing, that they understand, winning Super Bowls is great, but it doesn't net you any more money. Being the drama queens, that gets you paid and it gets you attention. And you would think that with the day off today that the Cowboys would have gotten it done. I would have hoped that they would have gotten it done before Sunday, before the pads come on, and get him out there, full go then. There's still time for that to happen. Maybe we had some discussion today. I don't know. I haven't heard anything new today, so sometimes when you hear nothing, that maybe that's good news. No news is good news. because we haven't heard the players coming out with anything new. We haven't heard Micah Parsons. Since Micah Parsons with CeeDee Lamb kind of went scorched earth on Jerry Jones, like, hey, listen, I'm here. Unlike the other people, if you read between the lines, unlike the other players out there, I'm here. I don't understand why, Max Crosby got his, Myles Garrett got his, TJ Watt got his. I'm surprised he didn't say how that weak-ass Trevor Lawrence got a big bag of money and he's on the bust category. Mark, did you listen to Ozzy? He's a character you would love. Rest in peace, Ozzy. Oh, man, I tell you, what, Philly D, you know how old I am. I'm going to tell you how old I am. I remember when Crazy Train came out and I was in high school. Yes, in high school hearing that Crazy Train. I remember when it happened, when he bit the bat's head off. And what happened, most people don't, maybe you youngins don't know about this, but there was a thing where people would throw rubber bats onto the stage for Ozzy Osbourne, and he'd bite the heads off of it. Well, somebody threw an actual live bat onto the stage, and he thought he was picking up a rubber bat, and bit it off, and it's like, oh shit, it's a real bat, and he just went with it. So that's when it was like, all of the congressmen and things are like this, that it's satanic and he's bad and everything else. That was back when 2 Live Crew was getting banned, because they were doing stuff that was just too damn sexy. I mean, Me So Horny. Oh, they tried to block that stuff. And of course, you had NWA. They tried to block that too because they were scared of black people. But be that as it may, yes, I understand about Ozzy Osbourne. Rest in peace with him. But Chuck Mangione too, man. That's another big one. And Jamal, Malcolm Jamal, him drowning, man. That's here. I'm at the beach, and everybody's telling us, stay out the water. Don't get in the water because we don't want you to get caught in a riptide and everything else. So, Lady Libra in the house, shout out to you. Didn't say that. Ooh, don't say that, Mark. Say what did I say about him biting that bat's head off? I don't know. What am I not supposed to say? We need Christian Watkins. Well, we'll get to Christian Watkins after we finish talking about Micah Parsons and his contract. But after Micah Parsons kind of went scorched earth and really made Jerry Jones look bad, you had, of course, CeeDee Lamb come out the next day and say, that's my dog. I don't know, but hey, I'm with you, bro, but I'm not quite with you with slamming Jerry, okay? That might be the 800-pound gorilla that you don't want to F with, okay? And you had Dak out there saying, hey, I'm all with it. I understand exactly what's happening. I'm with him and everything else, and I think he'll get paid. He'll get paid because, I didn't get paid twice, so I know he's going to get paid. And we all know he's going to get paid, but we have to go through this whole bloodletting crap and everything else where now we're seeing articles about destinations for Micah Parsons. He loves Dan Quinn and Dan Quinn's going to get him and this, that, and the other. It's like, man, do we have to go through this stuff every year? Because last year it was CeeDee Lamb. The year before it was Zach Martin and things. It's just like, can we just go into camp and be just a nice, clean camp? And so you hear Howie Roseman with his Mickey Mouse voice. I'm telling you, I would not want to listen to him very often because he just said, that was the first time I've actually heard him speak, and it's like, my ears are bleeding. But he does the right talking when it comes to getting the players under contract and finding ways to get them under contract, as opposed to Jerry Jones. And I can't wait to see that Ryan Fenoy catch a pass because he's got some depth. You know what? I could do without the bullshit from Jerry Jones. I'd rather go ahead and have my GM that I don't know what his voice sounds like, that it's horrendous. Randy McIntyre, what's going on? And my eyes are doing something funky because my glasses ain't working and my eyes ain't working. So I'm looking at the chats, and it's kind of blurry. The Rangers. Okay, Hallie, how are you doing? Dan, I'm watching while on here. Philly, oh my God, Philly D, not another Eagle in first place. Would have Micah signed a year and a half ago? Yeah, that would have been the smart thing to have actually saved some money. But in retrospect, here's what I'm going to say. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think it hurts you as much as everybody thinks it does. For example, let me give you an example. Tyreek Hill is a $27 million cap hit right now, today, with the Miami Dolphins, right? CeeDee Lamb's only a 15. CeeDee Lamb's cap number, even though he signed after A.J. Brown, his cap number is less than A.J. Brown. So, yes, it costs you more money, but in retrospect, it doesn't on the cap this year. And last year, his cap number was really low. We actually saved. So here's how you look at it. Last year, in the fifth-year option, his number was about $18 million. It ended up being about 9, I think it was the actual cap number. So his cap number last year was 9. This year, it's 15. So for 2 seasons, we'll have had him for $22 million versus Tyreek Hill being 27 this year. Does that math add up to you guys? $22 million is what CeeDee Lamb is costing. Now, again, next year his number balloons up, but you have the triggers that are there. Same thing with Dak, that you can get more money. And when they sign Micah Parsons, here's what'll happen. Whether it's $35 million that we could have gotten before, or 42 or 43, they'll end up saving $10 million this year that they can carry over, and they'll have the same triggers installed into his contract that they can use that to get some more money. And in grand scheme of things, when you look at it from this standpoint, is the Cowboys are trying to pay their bills now. Okay? They're not trying to look and say 4 years from now, we're going to have a big balloon payment like the Eagles. Okay? 4 years from now, the Cowboys have committed about $40 million. The Eagles have $294 million. Now, you can look at this and say, well, the Eagles, they went to one Super Bowl and they won another one with doing this. So you say, I'll be okay with saying I'm going to be a broke ass in 4 years. Right now, I'm going to be drunk in the club, getting tipsy and having a ball. So there should be a delicate balance between the two, because we shouldn't be working on Micah Parsons' deal right now. We should be working on Tyler Smith's. Randy McIntyre, what's going on? Micah Parsons' contract will be mark the content until the end of August. Yeah, well, that's the great thing about being a Dallas Cowboys YouTuber, is Jerry Jones always keeps you in the loop with plenty to talk about. Plenty to talk about. All right, so back to our current Cowboys. We have so much energy and excitement. And here's where you have to look at a couple things. Okay, now we got the Commanders that everybody says the Commanders, oh man, they got so much talent, they're going to be a great team. The Commanders are the geriatric team. We used to be kind of an older team, but with Zach Martin and Tyron Smith and D-Law actually leaving, the oldest player we have on the roster right now, of course, is Dak Prescott at 31. We only have, I think, 4 players that are in their 30s. So they're 30, or like Dak Prescott, 31. And one of those is Dante Fowler. The rest of these guys are young pups. And when you see them out on the field, keep on losing weight, I'm looking good. Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate that, man. I've been trying to eat better and been working like crazy. I just hope that on this trip, I don't put 10 pounds back on, because that, I'm not out in the heat sweating and running and building my shed and everything else. But I appreciate you noticing and appreciate you worrying about me. Ruben Walls, what's going on? Aisha, take it one day at a time. Jay Smooth in the house. The Eagles are at $294 million 29 because the NFL TV deal is due, and so Howie will renegotiate with all of our available roster. Yes, and well, that is a great point of contention there, Linda. That is a whole nother ball of wax when you see ESPN taking on or possibly getting NFL Network and the red zone attitude. I really have I'll be honest with you. I have a real problem with that. And here's my thoughts on it. First of all, The fact that they did not know that the clip that they were getting from Ferg's season was a clip from last year, that they literally said, oh, yeah, Dak to George Pickens. Bro, first of all, they hadn't even practiced yet. Second thing is, you can't practice in pads until this Sunday. If I know it's fake, how is it that you're the worldwide leader and don't know it? Randy McIntyre, Mark looking slim, keep it up, my friend. It might be actually because I'm on my different computer. This computer might be slimming. I don't know. It may be, and it may actually be because the hallway is narrow there, that it's elongating. You know, because that's how, when you take pictures at certain angles, it makes things look differently. So it may, look, I'm not any lighter than I was 2 days ago. Okay, so if y'all are just noticing it now, it must be something with the way the cameras or the lighting and things. But I appreciate it, though. I'm still a fat ass. Well, actually, my wife says I ain't got that much ass. I'm a fat belly. That's what I am. I'm a fat belly. Cowboys need another D tackle, and one just fell into their laps. Christian Watkins. Yes, there's Christian Watkins that's out there, but the question is he going to be healthy? The Raiders, and I don't think the Cowboys, with going through what they've gone through with Diggs, that I don't think they're going to sign him, because allegedly what's happened is the Raiders suggested that he get another surgery at the beginning of the summer, and he was like, bro, I ain't getting operated on again. I'm going to rehab it on my own. And that is the exact thing that has gotten the Cowboys pissed off at Diggs and fining him $550,000. Thomas Garrett, what's going on, man? Dirty Sanchez says, when you dim the lights, it helps. Yeah, that's what I always do with my wife. Again, let me dim the lights, baby. I know I'll look better. Mark no ass Holmes. Okay. He's not worth the trouble. Oh, that's the question with it. But I don't know that there was. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say on that one, Jimbo. Is a lot of people, I remember one of the ESPN shows or whatever, they were basically saying that when the Steelers were calling people, allegedly calling people about a George Pickens trade, people were laughing. Ward family, what's going on, man? Every time I see the trains, I think of you, buddy. That allegedly when the Steelers were calling people about a possibility of trading George Pickens, that people were laughing and hanging up the phone. Now, we haven't played any games, I will give you. Okay? We haven't played any games, I will give you that much. But from what we've seen at camp, that guy looks really good. I'm not going to lie to you. That guy looks freaking insane. And if what we've seen the early parts of camp translates into the season, watch out, teams. This team is going to be loaded as far as wide receiver goes. So, saying that this person is a problem versus the reality can be two different things. And a guy of his skill, before his injury, he was the number one ranked defensive tackle. So, hey, Cowboys, their reclamation project. They end up taking your tired, your weak, your malcontents and stuff. I mean, they got Greg Hardy, although that one blew up in their face. It would not be necessarily a bad thing. The question is the foot healed that he's going to be able to play? And that's where the Raiders are kind of like, you know what, we're going to, with new coaches, new staff and all that, they're starting all over and they're just saying, you know what, you're not going to listen to what we've asked. We're going to make an example out of you and we're going to try and get our cash back. So we'll see what happens with Christian Wilkins, but that's definitely an area of need. The bigger question will be is how much is he going to be looking to get paid? That's going to be a bigger issue right there. And since Jerry Jones ain't into paying anybody anymore, that'll be another problem. Dak is Philly Eagles fan. Oh, Lordy, gotta love it. Dak is your biggest problem. I tell you, before I get on to today's players and stuff in training camp and how some of them are looking really, really good, especially Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott doing read option plays in practice. He does not look like a guy who had his hamstring ripped down to the bone, okay? He looks good. Here's something that's kind of funny. Dak throws one interception in practice, everybody goes off. Did you guys hear about J.J. McCarthy? Did y'all hear about J.J. McCarthy? J.J. McCarthy threw 6 interceptions in practice today. 6 interceptions, okay? You know, let me show you. And we're not talking about good interceptions. Let's take a peek here. Watch J.J. McCarthy here. This pick, that's not even, the receiver knew from the time he threw it that was literally a duck. Look at that. Quack. Quack. That was, is this the same guy that they've been saying, oh, the Cowboys aren't as good as Minnesota Vikings with J.J. McCarthy. He's a great quarterback. Do y'all remember when we used to have the Dak Prescott interceptions in practice narrative that was going on? Do y'all remember that? How come nobody is talking about J.J. McCarthy throwing 6 in one practice? 6. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm sorry, I digress. J.J. McCarthy might be a bust. Yeah, but people are, oh, Minnesota Vikings, they're going to be great. It isn't a damn problem. They can act like Dak plays defense. And Dak is, well, here's the thing. We'll give you an example. I was sitting here reading Twitter, and you know Twitter it's toxic. But somebody was going through, and they were busting on Dak Prescott, because I've heard Philly 500 many times. Dak Prescott's had all this talent. In 2019, all those players. It's like, wait a minute. 2019, because he's talking about us being in the playoffs. I was like, 2019, we weren't in the playoffs. That was the year after Travis Frederick finally stopped playing. But somebody had posted, they had said that the Cowboys have had a Hall of Fame offensive line. Now, we've had Hall of Fame players that have been on the line, but a Hall of Fame offensive line, there's nobody that's taking the Dallas Cowboys offensive line after 2017 and saying, that's the Hall of Fame, that's the best offensive line in football. Because what happened, I will say 2016, the Dallas Cowboys offensive line was great. You had Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, and Tyron Smith all playing great, all pro levels. I will give you that. And that season, Dak's rookie season, they made the playoffs, and he went toe for toe with Aaron Rodgers. And if our defense could have held Aaron Rodgers for 40 seconds, we win that game. Dak had 304 yards, 3 TDs. Zeke had 125. We did a great offensive performance in that game. We just fell short. But after that, you can't say that the Cowboys' offensive line was a Hall of Fame offensive line. The next years, when you started really having Tyron Smith falling apart, along with Zeke Elliott missing 6 games, you had the Claiborne game that the guy, Chaz Green replacing Tyron Smith gave up 6 sacks to one guy in that game. Dak was sacked 9 times in that game. And from that point on, Tyron Smith never played more than 13 games. And you had Travis Frederick in 2017 get Hillian bars. 2018, he missed that whole season. He retired, or 2018, he retired. So you've had Joe Looney, Biotish at center, as well as some other guys. You had like Connor Williams. Nobody's saying Connor Williams, at your right guard was going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm not. You had Jason Peters out there playing, and guys you probably can't even remember that played left tackle when Tyron Smith missed, 14 games and 12 game seasons. The Cowboys' offensive line, especially when you look at last year, has been bad. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you can look at the Eagles and say they went from losing just one guy, Kelsey, to replacing him with the guy that may be better. That offensive line has been great for about the last 5-6 years, easily, and have been able to take care of Jalen Hurts. I can't say that about the Cowboys. Yes, we had Amari Cooper there for a while, along with CeeDee Lamb for 2 seasons. But then you looked at how the offensive line was and how the defense was. The Cowboys have not been a complete team all the way around in a long time. And the biggest problem that they've had has been depth. People don't want to understand this. The Cowboys have always had a top-heavy roster, and you could say that about that right now. When you look at CeeDee Lamb, when you look at Micah Parsons, when you look at Dak Prescott, you've got a lot of guys that are getting a whole lot of money that are primo players, Pro Bowl players, and we get that knock. But the problem with the NFL is a season is a battle of attrition. And as the season goes on, it's not about getting healthier. It's about trying to hold on to what you have. And that's where your depth comes in. If you have quality backups, guys that can play significant minutes, that will keep that wear and tear off of your big guys, or when you lose your good players, that you have players that can step in, that you're not losing that much. You can't go from a Tyron Smith to a Chaz Green and think you're going to be able to perform. You just aren't. It's like when you went from Tony Romo to Brandon Wheaton. There's no comparison, and you can't think you're going to win when that happens. And for the Cowboys, like last year, we didn't have, the cupboard was bare. We barely had stars to start out with. And when you started losing guys that you were hoping for, like Sam Williams, and then your players like Marshawn Nealon get injured that are rookies, and you're literally out on the streets grabbing guys like Lawson and throwing them in there, you can't win that way. So for the Eagles, when you look at it, it's not just that they have top-line front guys, but they also have depth. Now, the good news, I think, is that the Dallas Cowboys are actually beginning to get more depth this year. We may not have as many big-name players, stars that you think about, but the fact that we have a guy like Brock Hoffman at the beginning of the offseason, I hope if Game Time is still in here, we were really high on Brock Hoffman, saying, Brock Hoffman, he might be able to step in for Zach Martin, and being excited to say, yeah, that guy's pretty good, we're okay. The fact that guy that we thought might be good enough to be a starter is a backup bodes well for the team, because now you say, okay, if Tyler Booker is not quite there, if he's, gets injured, well, you got Brock Hoffman, who actually played well for Zach Martin last year. That's what I'm talking about having depth, that you have quality people that can step in at a moment's notice. Something we haven't had. And as we were going through training camp here, the excitement over here, one, getting George Pickens is opening up the offense. Big time. Because now you're seeing guys like Jalen Tolbert that are feasting. You're seeing Jonathan Mingos that are doing well. Hell, we may actually have a really good group of wide receivers right now. Because you've got George Pickens there, it's going to allow these younger guys to bloom as the third and fourth wide receivers. You get Kayvon Turpin, if he stays out of trouble here, in there with his speed, having George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb out there. You let him get the ball in open field with his speed, with those guys downfield, you're going to see big plays that are going to happen, big chunk plays. How's your job going, buddy? Game Time. Okay, so Game Time, right. Talking to you, Game Time, just relaxing. Glad you're relaxing, man, because I know you're back out on the streets and it's hot out there. But you remember how we were looking and saying, Brock Hoffman might be pretty good and stuff in there. So I feel great that we ended up getting Tyler Booker. And what may end up being, as much crap as we've given Jerry and Stephen Jones, the move that might end up being the move that saves this team was to trade for George Pickens. And that is the truth, because that enabled us to get Tyler Booker. If Tyler Booker is good, thank getting George Pickens, because we probably would have drafted a wide receiver. We didn't have to use a major pick to do that, to bring in George Pickens, and now we've got our offensive line in better shape. And as we go through here and we start seeing these young guys, I'm amazed at how excited each of these players are. Brock is right, exactly. So game time, right. You got Brock Hoffman, who can play center, he can play guard as a backup, and we were thinking that guy was going to be in a starting role. That's what you want to have. Guys that are good enough to be starters, ready to be plugged in, and if they can play multiple positions, that's even better. Joe DeMasi, good, Matt. Hope you're doing good, buddy. The offensive line and the defensive line got overachieved this year. Curtis, you're 100% right. The questions will be I've got no doubt that we'll be able to rush the passer. No doubt whatsoever. My question will be will we be able to stop the run? It's a one-year rental. Who's to say for sure they're going to pay Pickens? I tell you what, if Pickens plays lights out and your offense is flourishing with them, then you got to sign him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If he comes out and plays gangbusters, let's say CeeDee Lamb has 1,300 yards, he's got 1,100 yards, and you're a top 5 offense with the running backs that you have, you're going to tell me that you're just going to let him go? No, you're not going to do that. You are not going to do that. You're not going to be that stupid. The guy's only 25 years old. He's in the prime of his life. And if you end up having those two guys doing well, you can't break that up. But just think about how different this team is from what we had hoped before. We were so desperate. We were looking to say, hey man, maybe we can get Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has been an amazing receiver, but not the last 3 years. He has been more injured and things. And we would have been satisfied with getting Cooper Kupp. We've been excited as can be. Hell, we were excited about the idea of getting Amari Cooper back. Y'all, are y'all old enough to remember that? People were literally talking about, hey man, I want Amari Cooper back. They're talking about Amari Cooper like they were about Zeke. And how did that work out? So the fact that you got George Pickens and this energy, you see Brian Schottenheimer and the coaches that maybe this was the right thing that happened. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but Brian Schottenheimer and this coaching staff that he's put together have high energy, and it's translating to the players. I got to say, when I was there at training camp last year, man, it was more like I was going to a funeral. There wasn't this kind of excitement and action. That, trust me, there was not this energy that there is right now. These guys are young, they're strong, and they're chomping at the bit. Booker's going to be special. I hope he is. Randy, you're in the third spot right now. Philly D is enough. Come on, Randy. You got to get past Philly D. Can't be a turnover machine, bro. Shotty is for real. Game time, from Jump Street, when we got Schottenheimer, I looked at that and I was kind of like, okay, here's the reasons I kind of like this. Consistency for your quarterback. And then as you started looking at his coaching record and things, you started seeing that he's been in positions where he's had the number one rushing offense. He's been successful working with Russell Wilson with the Seattle Seahawks. He was successful with, Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan and things. So, working with crazy people, he's already done. So, and he was already familiar with Jerry Jones. And for the Cowboys, for the most part, the only time you can say that they haven't been looking out for the coach's interest is right now with Micah Parsons. The Cowboys didn't re-sign guys like Osa Odighizuwa for Mike McCarthy. They let him walk. The Cowboys didn't make moves for wide receivers like George Pickens. They just didn't. They just didn't. Schotty's playing no games. And Schotty, I actually love the things he's saying. You know, we're not looking for mottos and things. We're looking for intensity and getting better every single day. And I absolutely positively love hearing what he's putting out there. With let's go to this clip here. I love this clip of him with on 105 The Fan. And this lets you know everything you need to know about Schotty.
I'm doing amazing out here in Oxnard, doing football with some dudes that I love and care about. I'm doing great.
Now, we wanted to follow the message of professionalism for the camp. If Corey or I get in a fight, will you eject one of us from the interview?
No, because you guys aren't as important to me as they are.
I don't give a rat's ass about you guys.
Just make sure it doesn't spill into the field and get in the players' way.
Now, one of the things, you see the shirts, you see the hoodies, compete every day. I get that is fairly self-explanatory, but I wanted to know, to you, what does that mean and why is that message important?
Just, it's taken one day at a time, and when you wake up in the morning, you literally be like, look, I want to have the best day I can have. I want to win today. And so do everything in your day to be the best version of yourself.
I love this.
That's being the best husband, the best father, the best Christian, the best pianist, whatever it is, best football player. And that goes into every meeting, every workout, every practice. And it's not easy to do, but I think it's easy to focus on, and our guys have bought into it. And we don't win every day, but the least you can do is try. And today we had a very competitive practice, and the guys are buying in, excited about it. And it's just one of those things, I think, that if you're not competing, man, I don't know why we're out here. And,
is that level of speed and competition, is that how you can tell they've bought in? You said they've bought in. Like, when did you know that, or how could you tell?
Well, I think it started in the off-season program. You know, you hear some of the things they're saying in the media. They're talking about the things that we talk about, the things that we're preaching, and we make them compete all the time in the meetings rooms. We do different things with them. We do fun games. We do silly games. We do things that, you know, we took them to do paintball and let them shoot the hell out of each other. And you know, and then when you watch these guys practice, I think what we do a good job of as a staff is we're very upfront and honest with them. And again, the first day wasn't very good. Yesterday was solid. Today was really good. It was great competition back and forth. We'd, you know, score a touchdown. They'd take it away a couple of times. We'd come right back with a big run. And that's what we're trying to get these guys to understand. Like, to me, in the National Football League, you don't win games in the first quarter. You don't win games in the second quarter, not in the third quarter. Where you win games is late, and you win games in the fourth quarter. So it takes that competitiveness to be able to sit in there and fight through a 75-play game on offense, defense, special teams, and find a way to win.
Now, you said you don't want to be static with motion and all that. You were saying we don't want to be a static team, but how do you know when your team is the most physical team? Like, we can line up and beat you. We know. How do you know when that your team has that thing? Like that 14 Cowboys team, they do. We can run. We can just run on anybody. Try to stop us.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, to me, it's when the team you're playing either knows that you have to run the football and they can't stop you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great feeling. Or conversely, if you're playing a team on offense, it's a great running team, and you're literally just knocking the hell out of them and they're not pissing a drop.
Yep.
To me, that's when you're like, okay, we're really physical. And that's the mindset that we want to have. That's the mindset of what we want to build this thing on. After winning the turnover battle, it starts with owning the line of scrimmage, and that starts on both sides. It's not just the O-line, D-line. It's the tight ends. It's the linebackers. It's the safeties. But in my experience, when we've had our best teams, it started with a physical front and a physical football team.
Yeah,
I'll leave it right there. But physicality is definitely on their mind. And when you get these young guys that are excited like they are, watch out. I think that this team is going to be better than advertised. Some of the things you're beginning to see now is either it's the typical cycle that goes through where the Cowboys are first taught, you're told that the Cowboys stink and they're terrible. Listening to the guys like Philly D, the Cowboys suck and everything else, and Dak Prescott's a choker and everything, right? But they're not focusing in on guys like J.J. McCarthy out there throwing 6 interceptions. They're not talking about, your Trevor Lawrences who've done absolutely nothing in their career, even though they were the number 1 pick and were supposed to be a generational player, or a Justin Herbert who pisses down his leg when he gets into the playoffs. We only focus in on one guy and one team only in the National Football League. And so, I guess if you end up wanting to be that popular team, that you're going to have to, talk the talk and walk the walk, and that you're going to get a whole lot of shit because you are in the public eye. And as they say, if people don't hate you, you're not doing something right. Philly Eagles fan, Mark says the same shit every season, laugh out loud. Well, I guess every season I have hope. But I don't know. No, you know what? No, hell no. Philly Eagles fan, no. I know what I said last year. I said last year that the only hope the Cowboys had is that they literally had to thread a needle. They had to thread a needle because their window of opportunity was so small that they had to have everything go right. That they were going to need Mozzie Smith to come out and be Aaron Donald. They were going to end up needing our rookies to come out and be, to be Tyler Smith 2.0 for Tyler Guyton. And I said, we're going to need to stay healthy. None of those things happened. I did not have a lot of hope for last season. I thought we would have played better than what we did. But no, I did not say last year we were great. I did not say that the energy last year training camp. I know that I said that training camp last year was abysmal. And it's like, I don't know that I want to come anymore between the price tag of being there and the lack of participation from the fans and what you're actually getting from the product. That basically either you spent a whole lot of money or you weren't getting anywhere close to the action. So I know I did not say, oh man, everything's great here in Dallas. No, bro. No. Did not say that. Who's the one that picked up Deuce and made him look like a toddler? I missed that one. The best part of us winning is rubbing it in the Cowboys' faces. Okay, Brock Purdy. Well, we'll see how that goes. It's a new season, and, people were picking, my Minnesota and saying, oh, my Minnesota's a great team. Right now you got Justin Jefferson with a sore hamstring and J.J. McCarthy being an interception machine. Who's to say that Minnesota's going to be a great team this year, that maybe they got lightning in a bottle last year with Sam Darnold? Philly D, easy to do when you, 10-plus turnovers in the game, in the playoffs, laughed out loud. Even facts. Excuses for 10 years of your quarterback. Well, here's the thing that's kind of interesting about saying 10 years of your quarterback. Over the last 10 years, there ain't been a whole lot of quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there who have not. And there are very few out there that have teams that are like the Eagles. I'm just saying. I don't think if you took Jalen Hurts and put him on Jacksonville that they're winning a Super Bowl. I know Jalen Hurts wouldn't be winning a Super Bowl last year on the Dallas Cowboys. Prove me wrong. A little Dallas Cowboy. You're taking it out of context. True. Dak Prescott had 8 interceptions in 8 games. And was it because everybody, or was he solely to blame on that? Because everybody else was great? That he had great protection? That he didn't have to climb the pocket left and right, dodging people and trying to find an open receiver? Was it that the wide receivers were wide open and he was overthrowing them? Was it they had a great running game and, teams had to play honest against the passing game? Because the last I checked, we were worse in separation with our wide receivers. We were one of the worst teams as far as running the football. And our offensive line was dookie. So if your whole takeaway, little Dallas Cowboy, is Dak sucked, and you not acknowledge that everything else around him also sucked on that offense, that there wasn't pre-snap motions, that we had Tyler Guyton, leader in the NFL in penalties, even though he didn't start all the games, and could not block anybody inside, that Zeke Elliott had less than 200 yards. If your whole thing is Dak sucks, then you really are either just a person that hates Dak Prescott or you don't understand football at all. You really just don't understand football at all. Yeah, see, you got some mental issues there, bro. When you talk about a player's, hamstring laying on the floor somewhere, yeah, you got some mental issues. So I'm just gonna avoid you altogether. You have a good time there, bro. What I will say, what I do like is the Cowboys are understanding complimenting players, and I don't mean by that by saying, "Hey, you look well dressed today." By complimenting players. Last year we had CeeDee Lamb, and we basically said, CeeDee Lamb, you got the big fat contract, man, so you got to produce like you two guys. What they realized is we have CeeDee Lamb to maximize what we can get out of him. We need another wide receiver to help get open, to take some of the pressure off of him. Okay, that's complimenting. It's called complementary football. To help your quarterback, you have to understand that you need a running game. Now, I don't know if the running backs we have, Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, are going to be good enough for the Cowboys, but I know with George Pickens that it's going to give more opportunities because it's going to be hard to put 8 men in the box because you have those two great wide receivers. But that's a complementary player to help Dak Prescott with his strengths, because Dak Prescott, contrary to what people say, is actually a great deep thrower. And Pickens is a great deep wide receiver. And that's going to enable you to use CeeDee Lamb a lot in the slot because CeeDee Lamb is great in traffic. And that will also translate into the younger guys, your Jake Ferguson's being able to clear across the middle and open up your running game. Now, getting right now, Donovan E.Z. might be the biggest steal in the draft. The fact that that guy fell to the second round and what we've seen thus far. And I caution people to get too excited about what you see early in training camp. We saw George Pickens with the one-handed catching the ball in the nose. But I remember Dennis Houston in the corner of the end zone making a one-handed grab, and everybody swore, "Oh my God, we got Odell Beckham Jr." And he didn't make the roster. Or he did, but he didn't last for very long. So understand, in training camp, you're doing certain drills that depending on the drill, you might end up getting interceptions because you're working on a defensive drill. You may get great plays where, one-on-one, where you've got a wide receiver going deep against a cornerback where typically you'd be getting help. So a lot of things are inferred from training camp that won't be actually game scenarios because you're working on different drills. And everybody gets excited and so forth. I saw somebody was like, "Oh, Mozzie Smith, he sucks," and everything else, because they were doing like a running drill where basically you're just supposed to let the guy push you around. Okay, we're working on our skills. We don't have pads on. We don't want you to fight or anything like that. But the average person, like little Dallas Cowboy, that doesn't understand football, doesn't understand that you're doing a drill and you're trying to stay out of harm's way while you're doing this drill. You want to get work in, and we're not actually going live, especially without pads. Dan Quinn left and went to NFC champ. Kellen Moore went and won himself a chip. Yeah, with teams that decided that they were going to try and do something about winning. The Eagles already had a pre-built team, and the Commanders went out and got extra help and surprised a lot of people with a fourth place schedule. Now, if the Commanders turn around and end up making the NFC Championship game again, I'm going to say it's definitely Dan Quinn because they got a rough schedule, and I think they're the over-the-hill gang, and they're old. I'm telling you, they're old, and I think they're way overrated. I'm not going to hate on my own team. Shout out to Randy McIntyre. Philly D is still in first place. Come on, people. Jalen Hurts, 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Dak Prescott, 2 wild. Okay. Little Cowboy only because Dak got hurt. Dak would have swept Washington and won one game against Philly if he didn't get hurt. Yeah, well, it's all water under the bridge because none of that matters now. Only thing that matters is from this moment going forward. And right now, Dak Prescott is in great shape. There doesn't seem to be any ill effects from the hamstring. There seems to be a great connection right now already with the passing game with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. And as opposed to where we were last year, where we were basically with Jalen Tolbert as the number one because Brandon Cooks was injured and CeeDee Lamb wasn't there, I'll take what we're doing right now over last year. And I was watching or reading Bleacher Report. They're beginning to creep up the over and unders for the Cowboys. So you may want to, if you're thinking about it, betting that over and under, take that over while it's still 7.5 in Vegas. Commanders can't stop a leak. Well, you can't tell Commanders that now because they got Von Miller and they're going crazy. We literally have the second hardest of any team. 4th place schedule, my ass. Randy, if I win, I'll give it to you. Loving how Dak is doing. Alan Williams, first of all, injuries are part of it. If you can't play for the 4th time since that tag, 4 and 5 years, that's a problem. Okay. Blue's gonna surprise. I hope you're right on that one, Indy. A backup did okay. If you say so, little cow, you know everything. Redskins for life. We love the East. Mark, you're foolish. I'm not taking the over. Of course you're not. I bet you're not going to take the under either. Dak gonna surprise people. Well, yeah. Well, the haters are out there, and paper champions. We beat 2 dynasties for our rings. Jerry brought y'all rings. Okay. F them birds is right. Well, I'm excited about what I've seen thus far, and I just hope that we can find a way to get Micah Parsons' deal done so we can end that distraction. What I would love to see, instead of everybody leading with, is Micah Parsons going to get paid? When's Jerry going to do it? Why do they do this? I would rather talk about how the Cowboys are actually doing in training camp. You okay, baby? All right, my baby's got some pains. Looks like she got a cramp in her leg. Mark, send Philly's shirt with 5 Cowboys. There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'll send Philly D that one. That'll be perfect. Tom Landry was a great coach. He was until he finally, the game passed him by. Eagles #1. Philly D, I thought I heard you say that you were going to pass the shirt on, or do you want a 5-ring? No, actually, I won't do that. It seems like every time I troll the Eagles, they end up winning. So I'm not trolling the Eagles. Bird gang all day. All right, so what do you got? How do you guys feeling about what you've seen thus far from training camp? Are you excited? Have the Cowboys won you back? I'm feeling good about them. Holly Pierce says, hello, Tracy. And said, give her a hug for you. Can I give her a kiss too? Can I give a hug and kiss? And can I pat her on the butt too? And she's like, oh my God, my husband. Let the haters hate. Give it to Randy. Okay, so Randy looks like the Manster. I think I'll get Miss Tracy to do one that looks like with Randy White on it. So that way we can compare the two of you guys. Shout out to Philly D, who's giving his winnings away. I can't believe Jeff Lee didn't win. My name is Jeff. And Chris May's in second place. Well, damn, Jeff. What's going on? You okay, buddy? Holly, hey, Trey. Holly said, go for it. It's probably to say, get some. Sounds great to me. Okay, so we need a Randy White one for Randy McIntyre. Randy, email me, cowboysmark94@gmail, with your address and your size, and we'll get working on that one for you. And Lady Libra, I think we're looking at Dak with the finger up for you. Alrighty, good people, as always, I appreciate everybody being here. Tomorrow, the team is back on the field for practice. Sunday, the pads go on, so the excitement really will get going. And let's knock on wood and pray that nobody gets hurt. Terrence Steele has a high ankle sprain, but per Jane Slater, she says they're not concerned about that it's very, very minor. In the meantime, we have to worry about the biggest injury we have, which is Jerry Jones eating squirrels.
I've eaten a lot of raccoon. Yes. The answer is yes. And I've eaten it at hunting. I've actually had it served by my mom at the table away from hunting. And I have eaten raccoon. And yes, it's not uncommon at all. I'll tell you something that is one of my favorites is squirrel. And it's wonderful, and my mother could do a great job of it. And we all had our favorite pieces, and my dad and sister, I have one sibling, a sister, and they would fight over, not fight, but my mom and I, they were just, my sister and I as far as siblings, my mom and I wouldn't even ask for the brain in a squirrel.
Oh, man.
And delicious, seriously.
My dad loves cow brain.